our last poll, too, the dueling approval ratings. This is sort of an albatross for Harris here. Her administration that she's a part of, Joe Biden's approval rating sits at just 41%. And then there's this twist. Donald Trump, retrospectively, do you now approve of how he did as president? In our poll, 48%, almost half, give him that approval rating.
And we have to pause again because 48% is higher than the approval ratings he was getting when he was president, Steve. Really striking to see that.
Exactly. So is that a hidden advantage there for
Concern
Trump?
right now if you're the Harris team?
Republicans do have an advantage in early vote numbers. When the early vote come in, it's going to look a little bit different than 2020, and that's scary.
So that is very interesting. Jim Messina.
President Trump leading in every single key battleground state. We are cautiously optimistic about a big victory tomorrow night as long as everyone turns out to vote. And we're seeing that people are turning out to vote. When you look at the early voting trends, President Trump and Republicans are leading these early voting trends in every single battleground state. And urban turnout is down compared to where it was in 2020. Female turnout for Kamala Harris is down compared to those that turned out early for Joe Biden in 2020 as well. So all signs point to a victory tomorrow night, but we're not taking our foot off the gas. President Trump has 4 rallies in battleground states today, and we need everyone to get out and vote.
You know, you're supposed to let the crowd start the chant organically. This right here is just sad and cringe, but we got a lot of news to finish the day out with.
Oh, let's get out the vote. Let's get out the vote. Let's get out the vote.
The cringe, it just continues. So before we get started, I want you to know right now that once again, this video right here is going to be a little bit more clip heavy than I expected. You guys obviously saw the thumbnail. There is going to be an election prediction, which is going to be at the very end of the video. I sum it up in roughly 7 minutes. Of course, I had to do it with the MacBook Air, but it'll be coming up at the very end of the video. I'm trying to make this video as concise as I can. And before I go to my prediction, I need to kind of just pose a question. So exactly how far of a miss are they going to have? Well, today, New York Times, the failing New York Times, they released their poll with their op-ed, and while they had Kamala Harris winning some swing states, it still had Donald Trump winning the election by 280. Now, me personally, well, they didn't win with 280 electoral college votes. That is what I meant to say. The New York Times, we all know, is left-leaning. Not only is the New York Times, but several other pollsters are obviously left-leaning, the ones that the media puts out there, but the independent pollsters are the ones I typically tend to go to because they typically tend to be the most accurate. By the way, if you're looking at this and you're wondering what happened to my eyes, I explained that in the previous video that I was at a Trump rally and like an idiot, I didn't wear sunglasses and I got scalded. My eyes got sunburned. Yeah, that can actually happen. They're all puffy and whatnot. I'll be okay. I'll manage. Still, though, at the same time, what you guys are about to see here with Alex Castellanos, I really think is something that people may want to consider. I wouldn't say expecting it, but I think that they might want to consider this. Okay, gang, so how much of a polling miss are we going to have this cycle, as Alex Castellanos brought up this past weekend on Fox?
Pollsters are getting this wrong. We're all missing something because they're giving us the same poll over and over again. There isn't even statistical variation. 95% confidence level means that 5% of the time you're going to get a crappy poll. We hardly ever see that. It's like they're telling us we're watching a basketball game where every play is a jump ball. Somebody's missing something. What I think they're missing is a massive shift in voter registration underneath all of this. 31 states have voter registration by party. 30 of them in the past 4 years have seen movement toward Republicans. Miami-Dade County is now voting more Republican. Iowa was +1 Republican. It's now +10. And yet we're getting these surveys that I think are off base. Somewhere, somebody is missing something. I think I'm not going to call it a wave, but I think there's a wavelet out there of Republican enthusiasm and registration. If I register to vote Republican, whether I'm switching or new, what am I going to do?
In 2016, they got it wrong. In 2020, they had Biden up in some cases like 12, 13 points. And the truth be told is the early vote, which you did kind of see a little bit of an allusion to that at the beginning of the video, as well as Carolyn Leavitt and her saying that the women turnout was actually very high for Trump. I've explained in previous videos that Trump will, in fact, do better with women. You know, they keep on saying abortion, abortion, abortion over and over again, but what they don't seem to realize is that women care about more than just abortion. And not all women care about abortion. Only a couple of different types of women care about abortions, typically the sluts and the whores. That's about it. Outside of that, most women typically care about what's actually going on in front of them. And not to mention, there's also this bit right here from Jubilee that Greg Foreman did a video on that I'll link in the description box about this girl who completely shredded Pete Buttigieg on that topic. And she's definitely left-leaning. It's pretty much made apparent. But the fact of the matter is, I don't think that abortion is the thing that really is going to drive women voters like they think it's going to. It's actually like fourth down from all the issues from top to bottom. And of course, we've also got early polling data that seems to indicate that Republicans are, in fact, doing way better this time around when it comes to early vote. Now, I want to say this before I show you guys this. And I've been talking about this in my previous videos. In 2020, Joe Biden had a 12-point advantage in the early vote. He had a 12-point advantage in the early vote. All right? 12-point advantage in the early vote. Well, let's take a look at that advantage now.
You've got a candidate on the ballot for the third time at the national level. So what does the end vote look like? Does it look like 2016 where Trump squeaked out a win here over Hillary Clinton? He swept the blue wall, made it red, Southeast red as well. Or does this election look more like 4 years ago, okay? Here's Biden squeaking out a win over Donald Trump, okay? What did he do? He flipped that red wall, made it blue yet again, then a little bit of blue down here as well in the Southeast. Let's go to this right now because Madison was just talking about the early vote. This is what happened in 2020. You had just shy of 159 Americans voting, okay? So far, right now, okay, no pandemic, no COVID, no nothing. You're at 77 million, so you're just about half of the total that we expect in the end. And among those, now there's a category of others, you know, sometimes they register as independents, et cetera. But based on party, based on the states and early voting that report by party registration, Democrats make up 41% and Republicans make up 39%. This is one of these things that Messina was talking about in the soundbite. And this is one of the things that I'll cruise on.
Only 2 points. And you wonder why so many people believe that Kamala Harris is going to get cooked. But wait, I did put in the thumbnail that they would not be able to save her this time. Well, celebrities don't tend to save candidates anyways. They're kind of already baked into the cake that they're going to be siding with the Democrat. I mean, you got Harrison Ford giving his speech, and he tells you that he's been voting these elections for a while, and you got people saying he's a conservative, when in reality he's not, he never has been, he's always been a lib. You got Eminem out here who doesn't surprise anybody that he's supporting Obama. John Bon Jovi has never voted Republican in his life. I mean, you got all these celebrities from Cardi B. We already talked about her, to Spike Lee. Already talked about him earlier today. All these celebrities, including Lady Gaga, who's going to be doing a performance tonight with Kamala Harris in Pittsburgh. But then again, I wouldn't completely hold my tongue on that one because they were promising Taylor Swift and a very, very big star at the Democratic National Convention, only for it to turn out to be pink. And, of course, we also know about what happened in Houston, Texas, where a lot of people showed up to see a Beyonce concert, and instead it was just a 3-minute speech. I wouldn't put too much stock in this. Celebrities don't tend to sway people the way you might would think. But still, how will the election go out? And, yes, I do know that there will be stuff that happens after the election, but typically most of that F word is already baked into their numbers. Still, why in the world am I so bullish on Trump winning this? And by the way, if I get it wrong, I get it wrong. You guys can roast me all you want. That's fine. All right. I'm not going to beat you up for it. Okay. If I get it wrong, I get it wrong. And I did say that there would be some stuff occurring, and I will, of course, be responding to all that over the course of the next month, 2 months, because it's going to get chaotic before Inauguration Day. So why in the world do I feel the way that I do? Well, the two main indicators. Number one, are you prosperous in this economy? And number two, and that other one's very, very big, do you feel safe and secure? It beats all the 13 keys metrics, as Robert Barnes explains.
In the Gallup top right there. I mean, so you look at 2008, they predict the D+8 electorate. Obama wins by 7. They predict D+4 in 2012. Obama wins by 4. They predict D+3 in 2016. Hillary wins by 2. They predict D+5 in 2020. Biden wins by +4.5. Yep. So if anything, they slightly overstate the Democratic edge. They have never overstated the Republican edge.
And now let's show this day in history just to compare.
Exactly. So the first thing I look at is Gallup confirming my fundamentals. Gallup is saying yes, there's going to be a 7 to 8 point swing in the electorate towards Republicans, and in an R+3 environment, the top issue is they favors the Republicans. The number 2 issue favors the Republicans. Which party do you feel safer with? Favors Republicans. Which party do you feel more prosperous with? Favors Republicans. And again, this is Gallup that's been polling this for longer than any other pollster in America or in the world for that matter. So then we go to the third standards. Okay, all right.
Right now, Gallup has Republicans up 3, as that's what Barnes was explaining there. But let's continue.
We're going to translate, and if Gallup is right, we should see a 7-point trend in the polls. We should see that the polls, the same media university polls, are trending 7 points more towards Trump than they were in 2020. So I go to the national polls and I look at NBC, ABC, CBS.
Look at NBC. Oh my God! Did you
Morning
see that?
Consult, all the others.
Morning Consult.
And what do we find? And even more balanced pollsters, PIPP, Atlas International, Echelon.
Yep.
Guess what
Tip
we
is
find?
identical to us. You're going to see Tip is identical to our final poll. Literally same margin, same.
Basically, and I know I played that for you guys, but basically what it is that under an administration, if you are prosperous, at least economically, if a person feels like they're doing good financially, or if they're making money, or if they feel like they're secure in their job, they either A, don't vote, or they tend to stay with the incumbent, or they may vote for the actual incumbent willingly. The other factor is security. If the person does not feel safe and security in their own nation, then they're probably going to do what? They're probably going to vote for the non-incumbent, which this time around is Donald Trump. Well, people aren't prosperous, and people to go on top of this are also not feeling very secure. You got a massive border crisis. You've got wars going on around the world. I've talked about this with the Israel-Gaza situation. I mean, at one point in time in the past year, Venezuela was about to invade Guyana. That right there is just south of the United States. And also to go on top of this, you've got Russia, Ukraine, and China always saber-rattling. The fact of the matter is people realize that the Trump administration, and you guys saw earlier at the very beginning of the video, Trump's numbers have obviously gone up for a reason. And of course, the reason why it's gone up is because people do, for the most part, remember his administration quite well versus this current administration. Real quick, there was a small error. And I'm going to link the full episode in the description box of this video here, so that way you guys can see exactly what Barnes is talking about. It's roughly 20, 25 minutes into the episode. And of course, those 20 to 25 minutes to the episode, I would advise you guys watch the whole episode if you guys can. It's actually very, very interesting. Barris and Barnes are pretty good at this, especially Richard Barris. Barnes is on every Monday, and he's pretty strong when it comes to the betting markets as well. So all the celebrity endorsements in the world and everybody in the whole country, of course, thinks Kamala Harris is fake. Nobody's interested in voting for her, and of course, the early vote numbers are actually showing this. However, I did say, and I'll explain this as we go on, that there will be some shenanigans this cycle. However, there's a reason why it is that the former president says, make it too big to, can't really say it because of YouTube's algorithm. But of course, that right there now leads me to my election prediction, which I will go ahead and take you to now. All right, guys, I'll try to adjust the volume as I go, but this right here to me is the at-best scenario for Donald Trump. But I hate to say this right here, but as much as I want to pretend that this right here will be the map, I cannot say that it will be the map. Now, guys, I'm doing a lot of this based off the early vote numbers and also the polling errors that have been pointed out by Decision Desk HQ, many others, and of course you've also got other good political channels out there like Real American Politics. You've also got, and I mentioned them earlier, and I'll link the episode in the description box, Richard Barris, the People's Pundit, and of course I'm also going off experience also with previous elections and also the demographic shift, especially with recent events. I do not believe that Donald Trump will get the state of New Mexico. I believe that it will stay for Kamala Harris. The reason why I believe it will stay for Kamala Harris is because the Hispanic population in that state has not shifted enough. However, Arizona Republicans are outvoting Democrats at this moment in time, and nobody appears to be interested in Kamala Harris. And in the state of Nevada, the thing about Nevada at this moment in time is that, and this is pretty pathetic for Democrats, their vote dump today for Democrat ballots was only 68 in Clark County. Republicans actually have a pretty solid lead at this moment in time. Now, does that mean that shenanigans will not occur? Well, of course they'll occur. Same thing will happen in all the states that Trump tried to flip last time in the blue wall, starting from Minnesota all the way to Pennsylvania. But we'll get there in a second. I believe that Nevada stays with Trump, where I believe it flips to Trump this time around. And then, of course, you get a state like, say, Nebraska, where you've got a split in the Electoral College with Nebraska second. I'm going to go ahead and say right now that I believe, based upon the voter turnout in Nebraska second, that Donald Trump actually flips it. Now, the RNC at some point in time and the Nebraska GOP, they're going to have to get together on trying to fix that map, because there's no way that there should be a split in the actual Electoral College. I actually agree there shouldn't be a split in the Electoral College with the state of Maine. If you're going to do a split in the Electoral College, or if you're going to revamp it somehow, then it needs to be state Electoral College, so that way bigger cities do not get the votes or get to determine the fate of a state itself. New York is a great example. Also California too. But still, though, this right here is where I'm going. Texas, I believe, will go to Trump by about 12. The state of Louisiana is probably the best indicator of the racial makeup of an actual election, because of the high amount of black population they have in the state. And right now is showing a massive downturn in black voting. Same thing is going on in Georgia, throughout the entire South, including my home state of North Carolina, which I do believe Trump will win by about 4 or 5. I believe Trump will win Georgia by about 4. He'll take Florida by about 8 or 9. Miami-Dade is voting Republican. If you even go to Miami, you will find out that Cubans are actually putting pictures of Donald Trump up and Trump signs even in the restaurants. I saw this back in 2019. Now, I have Minnesota listed as tilt R, and it's possible that it could, but I don't think it will be enough votes. The Iron Range is shifting to the right, but even with the endorsement that Trump got from Somali Muslims, it's still going to be very difficult for him to win that state. Now, I'm going to go to Wisconsin. Wisconsin is a state that we're getting the word that we're getting out of there, the information that we're getting is that black turnout is down in Milwaukee. If the black turnout is down in Milwaukee, Harris has no chance. There's also the Norwegian population that lives right up here, and the lumberjack population that actually votes Democrat. Very odd. And of course, this also extends to the panhandle of Michigan. Those people do not tend to be interested in Kamala Harris. All right, they don't like the idea of wars, and we'll talk more about that when we get to Michigan here in a second. But I do believe that Wisconsin's a state that does hold. However, I do want to throw one caveat in here. If there is a state that they try to fortify that does in fact hold, I know a lot of people are looking at Michigan as the state that would hold for Democrats. I think that we might be mistaken, because Michigan has a much, much larger Muslim population than the state of Minnesota, and they are all voting for Jill Stein. They're split between Stein and Trump. That does not mean that Muslims will not vote for Kamala Harris. Of course, there will be some, but think about it this way here. The state was only decided by 150,000 votes in 2020. The state was also decided by, I think, less than 20,000 votes in 2016. There's about 150,000 Muslims in that state. If you've got 75,000, say, not voting for Kamala Harris, that's a problem. And then when you factor in the swing that Trump is going to be getting, it's very possible that Trump could probably pull that state by about 2 or 3 points, which is exactly what I'm predicting. He wins the state by is 3 points. Wisconsin, it'll probably be 3 or 4. Wisconsin, smaller population, therefore their votes are going to be a little bit more amplified. I believe that Trump will win Pennsylvania by about 4. A lot of people are saying 3. Robert Barnes is saying 5. I believe it's going to be somewhere in between. Virginia is a state that I just put down as tilt R. But the thing about the state of Virginia is this. Virginia is a state that the voter turnout is very low in. Christian Hines on Twitter, he covers Virginia, is very low. But then again, though, Bob Beckel even announced it one night back in 2014. There was the Mark Warner Ed Gillespie race. He said that Fairfax County literally does their ballots. Like, they literally print out the ballots and fill them out in a back room on election day. So, yeah, I would be a little bit less inclined to go there. I'm seeing that New Hampshire, the first in the nation primary that voted for Biden, was upset that Harris would be the nominee. They typically tend to not like incumbents. They typically tend not to like war. They're a more libertarian state. And I do understand that a heavy suburban populace from Massachusetts, Boston in particular, Charlestown, Mass, has moved up to New Hampshire, but the interest for Harris just seems very low. That there being said, though, Maine, I would love to see it flip as far as the 2 additional electoral college votes, but I don't think it's going to happen. Yes, like I said, I know that I put that up there the way I put it up there and basically hoping and praying that it would happen this way. That's the best case scenario, but I got to be realistic. Somehow or another, I think the map is going to fall somewhere between 312 and 317 electoral college votes. One scenario that you could also use to create that is, let's just go ahead and say that Nebraska's 2nd district does hold for Harris. Then you've got Then you've got 316 electoral college votes. Well, what if New Hampshire doesn't hold? What if it goes back? Then you have 312. I'm going to go with the general consensus that's going to be somewhere between 312 and 316 electoral college votes. But let me throw one more out there. What if Wisconsin's fortifications, what if they fall apart? What if it's heavily fortified, and what if Harris ekes it out? Okay, what if Virginia does not stay? What if it goes to Trump? And what if that Democrat turnout, which is very, very low in Nebraska's 2nd, remains pretty low? Then you could see this type of situation here. The truth be told is Trump has got more avenues to a victory than Kamala Harris does. And that really is the biggest reason why it is that I'm going with Donald Trump to win this election, this time by a margin of roughly, I would say the popular vote, I think he wins by about 2. Like, I actually think a Republican does, in fact, win the popular vote this time around because the interest just isn't there for Harris. And with that right there being said, let's go ahead and close this video out. There's one thing that I do want to end on, okay? And you guys obviously saw that. And here's what I want to end on. This past weekend, you had Patrick Byrne, Overstock CEO, who was all over the place in 2020 during that entire debacle. He basically came out and said that it was already settled, that the election was, for the most part, already fixed, yada, 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 typical blackpilling bullcrap. Yet you guys obviously saw the early voting numbers, the ballots returned. Well, he was answered to by Alex Jones. And I'm going to echo what he said. And I'll try to link the episode in the description box. Tomorrow's election day. I'm releasing this video at about, it'll probably get released at about 8:30, 9 o'clock tonight. All right. And I got one video coming out tomorrow, and I'm going to leave you guys alone for election day. What Jones said at the very end struck me. And what Alex Jones was saying was, there's a reason why it is that we say too big to, because you got to do this right to overcome. And the problem that Alex Jones had is the exact same problem that I have. I am sitting here talking on a camera, and my eyes are puffed to the point to where I can barely open them up because I went to a Trump rally yesterday because I wanted to support the guy that I think should be president of the United States. I went to one 2 weeks ago in the town I live in. The one that he was at yesterday was in my hometown. I care. I'm a patriot of this country, and obviously I care deeply about it. And we can win. But it would be so much better if those 32 million Pharisee Christians would get up off their ass and actually go vote for the man. I'm very, very much a pro-lifer. And of course, this mostly the pro-life grifter crowd. I want to separate myself from them that are saying that, no, we're not going to vote for Trump. We're going to write somebody in. Yeah, you're letting Harris go in there. If abortion's your thing, then obviously you're letting more and more babies die. Trump just simply sent the issue back to the states. That's what he's running on because he got Roe v. Wade overturned. I've never seen a more, haughty group of people who have their heads so far up their ass than the ones who say he's not pro-life enough for me. He got Roe overturned. You're not going to get a national abortion ban because then they're going to come right back after that. They're going to sign their own pro-abortion bill. Or everybody in the whole world is just going to get abortions, just be getting abortions before the actual ban sets in. What I'm saying to you is that if you get up off your ass and you go out there and you actually get in line and you actually vote, chances are the man will in fact win because the momentum is on his side and you'll be able to beat whatever they have planned. But I'm going to leave the ball in you guys' court. So go out there and vote, all right? Get out there and actually do it. And I stand by my prediction. If I get it wrong, you guys can make fun of me all the hell you want, and I'll sit here and take it on the chin like a man. But yes, I do feel that the man is going to win, and I also feel that all these celebrity endorsements at the end of the day, they're not going to be able to save her. With that right there being said, guys, make sure you guys please hit the like button, cut the notifications bells on. You guys can follow me on Facebook and Twitter. Please share the video, and I'll see you guys later.